Hello, you are on the True Storia channel. Asia Minor, as well as other adjacent areas of modern Turkey, are known for their rich history. Even in ancient times, there were several developed archaeological cultures on this territory. The history of Turkey can be divided into two large periods: the Pre-Turkic history and the history of the region after the arrival of the Oguz tribes from Central Asia in the 11th century. In different historical epochs, many state formations were located on the territory of Asia Minor or Anatolia. So in the 2nd millennium BC, there was the powerful Hittite Empire. From the 9th to the 6th century BC, the northeastern part of modern Turkey was occupied by the state of Urartu. Central Anatolia was occupied by the Phrygians, and southeastern Turkey was part of the Assyrian Empire. The Mediterranean coast was actively colonized by the Greeks. In ancient times, the mighty Troy, known from Homer's Iliad, was located here. The eastern regions of modern Turkey were inhabited by the Armenians who founded their states here. At different times, Greater Armenia, Lesser Armenia, Cilicia, the Kingdom of Commagene, etc., were located here. By the 6th century BC, the entire western coast of Anatolia was conquered by the Lydian kingdom, which was soon defeated by the Persians. As a result, all of Asia Minor came under the control of the Persian Achaemenid Empire. In 330 BC, Alexander the Great completed the conquest of the Persian Empire. Its territory, including Asia Minor, became part of the Macedonian Empire. After Alexander's death, his empire disintegrated. In 133 BC, with the conquest of the kingdom of Pergamum, the capture of Anatolia by the Romans begins. In 63 BC, after the victory over the king of Pontus Mithridates Eupator, almost all of Asia Minor was subject to Rome. In 395, the Roman Empire was divided. The eastern provinces became a part of the Byzantine Empire, centered on Constantinople in modern-day Istanbul. In the 10th century, the expansion of the Oguz Turks began from Central Asia, which gradually captured the territories of modern Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Palestine. Here they founded their state, the Seljuk Empire. The arrival of the Turks in the Middle East was the main reason for the First Crusades. The victory of the Seljuks over the Byzantines at the Battle of Manzikert in 1071 led to their penetration deep into Asia Minor. The mass migration of the Islam tribes to Anatolia had a strong impact on the population composition. The local Hellenized and Christian population was forced out or assimilated. The Seljuk Empire reached its greatest power under Malik Shah at the end of the 11th century. However, soon as a result of the decline and civil strife, the empire collapsed. In 1077, a new Seljuk state emerged in Asia Minor, the Sultanate of Rum. For a long time, Anatolia was a battlefield between the Christian and Muslim worlds. The Seljuk rulers often had to repel the attacks of the Byzantine troops and the armies of the Crusaders. In 1204, the Fourth Crusade ended with the capture of the Byzantine capital of Constantinople by the Crusaders. On the land seized from Byzantium, the Latin Empire was formed. The territory that remained under the rule of the Greeks became known as the Empire of Nicaea. In 1261, Constantinople was recaptured by the Byzantines. Since 1231, the Sultanate of Rum has experienced Mongol invasions. In 1243, in the Battle of Koze Dag, the army of the Sultan and his allies suffered a heavy defeat. As a result, the Sultanate falls into vassalage. The defeat from the Mongols and internal strife eventually became the main reasons for the final collapse of the state in 1307. The Sultanate broke up into separate feudal estates, beyliks. At the beginning of the 14th century, the border Ottoman beylik was developing. Its first ruler was Osman Gazi, Who founded the Ottoman dynasty? The territory of the state gradually expanded due to the lands seized from Byzantium and the annexation of neighboring Turkic possessions. The Ottoman Beylik became the core of the future Ottoman Empire. Already in the first half of the 14th century, the Turks almost ousted Byzantium from Asia Minor. In 1354 they crossed the Dardanelles and occupied the Greek Gallipoli. It was the first European city that the Turks captured. Under Sultan Murad I. Thrace was conquered in the second half of the 14th century. Only Constantinople with the nearest lands remained in the hands of the Byzantine Empire. In 1389, the Ottoman Empire defeated the Serbs in the Battle of Kosovo. And in 1396, the Turks completed the conquest of the Second Bulgarian Empire. In 1402, Timur invaded the Ottoman state. Sultan Bayezid I was defeated in the Battle of Ankara. The defeat led to the temporary disintegration of the Ottoman state, accompanied by civil strife. Soon, Sultan Mehmed I was able to restore the unity of the state, and the powerful Turkish expansion continued. In 1453, the Turks took Constantinople, thereby finally destroying Byzantium. Sultan Mehmed II proclaimed the city as the capital of the Ottoman Empire. Soon the conquest of the Balkans was completed. In 1517, Selim I captured Egypt. Thus, the Ottoman Empire gradually extended its power over a vast territory that included the entire Balkan Peninsula, Asia Minor, North Africa, Syria, Palestine, the Arabian Peninsula, Mesopotamia, the South Caucasus and Crimea. It is believed that the empire reached its apogee under Suleiman I the Magnificent. Under him, the Ottomans defeated the Hungarians and in 1529 approached Vienna. However, the siege of the Austrian capital ended in failure. The Turkish defeat at Vienna marked the end of the rapid Ottoman expansion into Central Europe. Nevertheless, violent clashes in Central Europe continued for a long time. The turning point of the confrontation was the Battle of Vienna in 1683. After which the initiative finally passed to the European countries. During this period, Austria, Poland and Russia became the main opponents of the Ottoman Empire in Europe. For the Russian state, the Ottoman Empire was one of the main foreign policy enemies in the south. The struggle first went for access to the Black and Azov Seas, and then for influence in the Balkans and Transcaucasia. More than 200 years of confrontation with Turkey led to the fact that the northern coast of the Black Sea and Transcaucasia passed to Russia. Russia also contributed to the liberation of the Balkan peoples from the Ottoman Empire. The strengthening of the Russia on the southern borders did not suit England and France. Who supported Turkey in this confrontation? During the Crimean War of 1853–1856, the coalition of Turkey, England and France defeated the Russian Empire. Nevertheless, the crisis of the Ottoman state became more and more evident. The once mighty empire continued to lose territory and gradually increased its dependence on the leading Western powers. In the Balkans, uprisings against Ottoman rule often broke out. The defeat in the Russo-Turkish War of 1877–1878 led to the declaration of independence by the Balkan peoples. In 1881, France captured Tunisia. And Britain occupied Egypt soon. In 1908, a revolution took place in Turkey. So-called Young Turks came to power. However, the regime established by them and the ongoing reforms did not give the desired result. The state did not come out of a deep crisis and continued to lose territory. In 1911, Italy occupied Libya. And according to the results of the two Balkan Wars of 1912–1913, Turkey lost all European possessions, with the exception of Istanbul and the surrounding area. The Ottoman Empire entered the First World War on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary. It ended in complete defeat, final collapse and occupation. In 1920, the Treaty of Sèvres was signed, which provided for the dismemberment of the Ottoman Empire. At the same time, the city of Smyrna, in modern-day Izmir, occupied by the Greek army, was to go to Greece. This treaty was never ratified. A war of independence broke out in Turkey. The Turkish national movement led by Mustafa Kemal managed to drive the Greek troops out of Asia Minor. In 1920, as a result of the Turkish-Armenian War, Turkey retained the northeast lands, transferred to the Armenian Republic under the Treaty of Sèvres. In 1923, the Treaty of Lausanne, which was more beneficial to Turkey, was concluded. The Turks retained Izmir, eastern Thrace and a number of other territories. On October 29, 1923, the Republic of Turkey was proclaimed. Its first president was Mustafa Kemal. In 1934, the Turkish parliament granted him the surname Ataturk, which means "Father of the Turks," in recognition of the role he played in building the modern Turkish Republic. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. A lot of interesting things are ahead.